Wolf Glick just won a big online tournament in Regulation G, and because of that, I figured it would be the perfect time for us to do our first tournament recap for the new format. So, as you guys can see here, we are over on Limitless TCG, aka Limitless VGC, whatever you want to call it, yeah? And we have a bunch of online tournaments here. Now, I will only be looking at 4 tournaments in particular, and they are the 4 big tournaments that happened over the last few days. We have the one here won by Wolfey, the VGC Honolulu Challenge. We'll also be taking a look here at the $50 Hoenn State Sky Cup won by the homie Mario. Then we will also be taking a look at the Himi Burns Tour and the Tommy Tuesday Practice Tour. Kicking us off here, we'll be looking at the VGC Honolulu Challenge here. Now, just before we jump into it, I will say I'm going to be like 1, looking at teams, and also 2, looking at the metagame stats. Because that is one thing I really love about Limitless. We do have metagame stats here. You can see, the most used Pokemon, win rates, all that kind of stuff, right? Which is pretty cool. But regardless, we're going to start here with the standings. And of course, we'll be looking at WolfeyVGC's team that he used to win the event. Because again, pretty impressive. This guy's coming off the back of a big win at Orlando. He goes home, builds a Reg G team, and just wins the event. And honestly, we're at a point where it's like, Wolfey's just winning everything he tries, man. It's actually kind of crazy. I made a tweet the other week saying like, dude, this guy's got a higher chance of winning like the biggest regional than I do of winning a 20-player local, man. It's actually wild. But once again, Wolfey here, 100-player tournament, he wins it. And of course, he does it on the back of what is probably the most broken Pokemon in the game, and that is Calyrex-Shadow. Now, I will throw this out there, guys. For anyone interested in this team in particular, Wolf has actually, he hasn't made the case public, but it's on his Patreon. So anyone, if you're interested in the team and a breakdown of the team, you can go to Wolf's Patreon. You'll get a far better breakdown of it than you'll get from me here. I did just want to throw that out there for anyone who was interested in it. But of course, as you guys see here, this is a team built around Calyrex-Shadow. It is rocking Astral Barrage, Psychic, and Nasty Plot, holding the Focus Sash with Terra Ghost. I really like this team, or at least this set on Calyrex. The Choice Spec set, as much as I do love it, a lot of the time I think just going for something like Terra Ghost anyway is just as good. You have a ridiculous amount of damage as it is, and it also allows you to click Protect, which is obviously incredibly good on this Pokemon. And especially too, when you pair it up with things like Rillaboom, Incineroar, and Clefairy, which are all on this team, it gives you a lot of room to click the Nasty Plot, which I do think is very, very important. But moving on to those guys we just spoke about there, if you've been around the channel for the last couple of weeks, I feel like every video, all I do is talk about Rillaboom and Incineroar. These two are such an incredibly good combo right now. Having double Fake Out is insane for something like Calyrex-Shadow. It allows it to set up, especially when you have the Nasty Plot. It also just enables you to, click Astral Barrages a lot more freely. But of course, they both actually pack quite a punch, right? Woodhammers in the Grassy Terrain deal a lot of damage, and having U-Turn as well obviously is very nice. Having Grassy Glide priority also is very good, especially into some Calyrex mirrors, in particular where if you're going up against opposing Calyrex-Shadow Rider, a lot of them will run partners like Indeedee to get the Expanding Force. Because of that, having your own terrain control obviously is very good. Also, it's pretty good into Briardon teams as well, which I do think is worth mentioning. Now, the Incineroar set here, as you can see, he has opted to drop the Flare Blitz in, place of the Will-O-Wisp here. I still think Will-O-Wisp is incredibly good on Incineroar. It's very, very good into things like the Calyrex-Ice Rider, which is incredibly good right now. And of course, while Flare Blitz is very, very strong, especially with Sun running around a bit, I feel like Knockoff and just trying to parting shot out and, clicking Fake Out is probably just more consistent. As nice as Flare Blitz is to have, you don't always want to click it, which I think is like the big bait with it. And because of that, I do think Will-O-Wisp is really good. If you ever catch anything like an Urshifu, which also with Terra Water here for something like Urshifu as well is very good. And of course, burning things like the Calyrex-Ice Rider, even just forcing out the Terra Fire, I think is really, really good. Then of course, Clefairy, everyone's favorite little redirection man here. Friend Guard next to Calyrex-Shadow with Follow Me is just really good. Having Helping Hand as well with Calyrex-Shadow Rider is just really good. It's also really good with the partner Urshifu as well. This is another really good combo because with Terra Water plus Friend Guard, you can live some attacks that you normally wouldn't. And of course, Helping Handing a Terra Water Urshifu just does a lot of damage, right? We all kind of know what it does at this point. And then After You is a really, really cool tech. I love this because if you go like Min Speed Clef, the only things that really underspeed you in Trick Room off the top of my head is like Hat and what's the other one? Torkoal. Everything else you're slower than, right? So if you're going up against the Cali-Ices, right, you can just underspeed them, click After You onto your Calyrex, and then it goes first, does a lot of damage. Of course, the Ursalunas and whatnot as well. Being able to underspeed them and threaten, big damage with Side Shock, I do think is really good. So that's a really cool tech by Wolf. And then of course to round it out, everyone's favorite combo here, we have the Urshi Rapid plus Tornadus. Urshifu Rapid Strike plus Rain Dance is just broken. And I do think Tailwind is incredibly good on these Cali teams because one of the biggest issues Cali will have is opposing hyper offense, right? Cali is a very offensive Pokemon that really needs to go first. And again, that's why I personally love the Focus Sash set because it just allows you to go max. And having Tornadus is very, very good because if you're going up against the opposing Tailwind Mirror, you definitely need it. And also, too, if you're going up against things like Scarf, Urshi Rapid Strike, you also really want it. Just because, yeah, Urshi Rapid obviously does outspeed you if they go Adamant. And with like 204 investment, they can threaten a one-shot with Adamant nature. So, yeah, because of that, I do think having your own Tornadus for speed control is really good. And of course, just even having things like Rillaboom and Urshi Rapid as well is just really good into the team. Into the opposing Urshifu Rapids. But yeah, really, really cool team by Wolf here, honestly. Again, I'm a big fan of Calyrex-Shadow, so seeing it do so well, to me is like really, really good. So going back to the rest of the event here, we do see a Kyogre team coming in second. I actually did just showcase a team very, very similar to this in one of our top cores videos that we were kind of talking about. I absolutely love this team. I don't want to go too in-depth in it because it is very, very similar to what we saw a lot of at the end of Regulation F, which is funny because we're still in Reg F. But yeah, it's just like a Tornadus Rain team with our Chaladon, but our water type of choice here is Kyogre paired up with it, right? Obviously, we have the Kyogre setting up the Rain, really good for the Scarf Rapid Strike, giving you kind of like 3 different modes with Rapid, which I think is really cool, right? Obviously, you've got the Qian Power mode, you know, like Sword of Ruin plus Urshi Rapid, really, really good. Of course, Tornadus can set the Rain Dance for you, which is really good. And of course, Kyogre also setting the Rain for you is really, really good. So a lot of really good partners there. Archaladon and Amoonguss also 2 amazing Pokemon in Rain. I really, really like this team. I think this is a really cool team that a lot of people should definitely pick up on. And it's a team I'm actually personally interested in testing a lot because this to me is like one of the perfect Rain teams. This is a Rain team where if I sat down to build Rain, I personally think I would have come to this exact 6. And because of that, I think it's really, really awesome. Again, seeing these like bulky Mystic Water Kyogres as well, I think is really good. And Terra Grass on it also is really sick. But yeah, this is just awesome. I love this team personally. It is what I expected to see out of Rain. I think Power Urshi, Kyogre, Archaladon with Tornadus, such a good core, and Amoonguss, man, yeah. Really, really sick team here. Like, not an awful lot to say, because I do think it is pretty standard for what you'd expect on one of these teams. But again, I think it's just a really cool team, and definitely a team I'm going to be testing out in the near future. But moving on here, we have Makelda Bestie, aka Mr. Second Place at Worlds last year, with another really cool team. This is a Sun team built around Koraidon. Koraidon has definitely been on the rise as of late. I think a lot of people started realizing, hey, this one is actually maybe a bit better than Groudon, especially in the current format. And because of that, I'm really excited. I love this mon. I prefer the HO that you get from Koraidon opposed to Groudon, right? Groudon is a really, really cool mon. But like, you know, the speed stat, missing Precipice Blades feels kind of bad. As you can see here, Makelda Bestie, he's running the Flame Charge SD set with Clear Amulet. I personally love this set. I've spoken about it in the past before, but I think it's very, very easy to one-shot Fluttermane with Terra Fire Flame Charge. Like, I think it's like Adamant, like 196 or something, just like one-shots like the bulkiest of Fluttermanes, which was kind of crazy. And that's like, you're talking like 200 investment, somewhere there. I think it was like 212, 188 or something we were looking at, which is absolutely wild. And of course, on top of that, you get the SD. Obviously, Rillaboom, fantastic on these teams. Like, one, it's an answer to Groudon, which Sun King... Sorry, I mean, it does kind of help out with Groudon, but it's an answer to Kyogre. Because obviously, Sun teams, they don't necessarily love Rain teams. Because of that, having Rillaboom is very good. Walking Wake, finally getting some good results. Love this by Makelda here. Yeah, honestly, having a water type like Walking Wake in Sun is fantastic. I'm assuming because he specs Terra Water, this is probably a speed booster set. But I do really, really like it nonetheless. And of course, another fantastic Pokemon into the Kyogre, which is again on the rise right now. We have seen a bit of Kyogre success. So having a Sun team with 2 really good answers to it is very good. Of course, here we have Incineroar, just the standard. You know, this is the Pokemon really that is there to make sure Koraidon gets his setup going, right? It's like, hey, I'm gonna just make sure you're doing your thing. Have fun, right? You know, it's Fake Out, Blitz in the Sun. We all kind of know what it does, right? It's also another switch in as well to Amoonguss, which I do think is important to mention. Then we have a Fairy Feather Fluttermane with sub double Fairy Stab plus Protect. To me, this was wild when I saw this, simply because it's like your best answer to beating obviously Calyrex-Shadow Rider is a Shadow Ball on this mon. And it's like, it's a really common mon right now. Like, why not just run the Shadow Ball? I don't know, but look, this guy got second place at Worlds. I'm not going to sit here and argue with him. He's a very, very talented player. He knows what he's doing. And then, of course, to round it out, Giraffe here. Giraffe is a really good one, right? It's a very good answer into Calyrex-Shadow. It can reverse Trick Room for a very offensive team like this. If you think Trick Room is your best way to win the game, you can also just go for that yourself, right? Like lead Fake Out plus Giraffe. And of course, Hyper Voice plus Throat Spray just does a lot of damage, right? You kind of really can't afford to ignore the Giraffe. Like, and that's one of the cool things with Giraffe on teams like this, right? Because you've got the Koraidon, the Fluttermane, the Walking Wake, all of which are very, very powerful Pokemon. And because you're kind of like aiming to like, you know, remove them as quick as you can, Giraffe can kind of sometimes just sit there and click 3 or 4 Hyper Voices and just run through teams. But yeah, really, really cool team here. I love seeing Koraidon get the results. And yeah, just awesome team, honestly. And Walking Wake 2 getting some results is like super nice, yeah. What do we have here? We have a Rain Calyrex in 4th place. This is a really interesting take on it as well. Of course, you have the Pelipper plus Urshi Rapid. which I think in the current metagame is definitely really good. Again, there's a lot of weather running around. Sun in particular is really good. And because of that, having your own Urshi Rapid plus Pelipper is just always really solid. Of course, Wide Guard in the current format also is really nice. Of course, the star of the show is the Caly-Ice here, paired up with what is a pretty common Caly-Ice core in my opinion. Of course, you've got the Giraffe here as the secondary Trick Room option. You've got the Incineroar to help you set up the Trick Room. And then, of course, Amoonguss plus Incineroar is just a fantastic defensive backbone. So it gives you this really cool core of like, yeah, you've got the Calyrex plus Trick Room mode. You've also got like a Rain mode that can kind of power through to set up for the Cali, which is really nice. Especially too, because when you look at some of the mons that Caly-Ice in particular struggles with, it is those fire types, right? You know, it's the fire types, it's the steel types. And these are mons that, you know, Urshi Rapid just kind of runs through, right? Obviously, you can, you know, in the rain, Water Stab is just going to take out any fire type. And of course, you can close combat these steel types as well. So, yeah, a really, really cool team here put together. And again, just seeing like 4 different restricteds in the top 4 is really cool. And like the best part is you have a look here in 5th place, we have Terapagos. So we have 5 different mons in the top 5, which is kind of wild, right? And then we do see here, this is actually, I think, the exact same team getting 5th and 6th. I think that looks correct, right? We'll pull them both up, have a quick look at the open team sheets here. But again, this is Terapagos. We see the Cover Cloak here picking up in usage. Cover Cloak is really good. Obviously, you can't be faked out, which is really nice. It allows you to set up the card mines. I mean, sorry, you can't be flinched by the fake out, I should say. You can still get faked out. Definitely important to keep in mind just because of the Terra Shift and how it works. But yeah, you can't get snarled down, which is a big one in my opinion, because I do think Pokemon like Chi-Yu will rise up because of how good Snarl is. And we even saw it on McKeld's team as well, running Snarl on the Choice Specs Walking Wake 2, which is definitely really good. Of course, though, this mon's job is to set up. How do you let it set up? You got the Incineroar, you got the Rillaboom, you got the Amoonguss, right? You got the Side Pollen Puff, you got the Double Fake Out Intimidate, you got the Grassy Terrain. It's just really, really good. We also see here he has actually opted to drop the knockoff on this team, which is very odd for the Will-O-Wisp. Normally, you do see them running a lot of the knockoff simply because you want ways to hit the Urshifu Rapid. Sorry, not the Urshifu Rapid Strike. The Calyrex-Shadow Rider. But obviously, on this team, I'm assuming he just feels pretty comfortable in that, you know, he can just take out the Urshi Rapids. So I keep saying Urshi Rapid. Why? The Cali Shadows. I'm sure he feels confident he can beat the Cali Shadows. Urshi Rapid here, though, very interesting. The Terra Steel plus Taunt. I thought that was like really crazy. No Aqua Jet on this team. But I guess you don't always need Jet, so that's pretty cool. Of course, we know what the big 3 here do. And then finally, a Sash Fluttermane with Taunt. Having double Taunt on this is actually wild to me. I'm really curious what the idea behind double Taunt was. Of course, it is really nice into things like Amoonguss. And maybe that was the idea. You lead like Terapagos plus one of these really offensive mons. And obviously with Mystic Water Surging Strike and then Focus Sash, I'm assuming it's max. Obviously, these Pokemon just put out a lot of damage. So I'm assuming that's kind of what he was going for here. But nonetheless, really, really cool. Now, I did want to check this team here. Did you also have the exact same team? Taunt? No, this wasn't the... Oh, am I an idiot? One had a Tornadus, one had a Fluttermane. How did I not notice that when I was talking about them? Yeah, Tornadus here, Fluttermane here. So this one's slightly different. We do have the Taunt Incineroar, which is super interesting. Opting to drop Knockoff again. Really, really interesting. Obviously, these teams aren't that scared of the Cali Shadow matchup, clearly. Still have the Amoonguss, Incin, and Rillaboom, of course. I think these 3 are kind of becoming that new core around Terapagos. Like, early format, we were seeing those Comfeys, but I think people are starting to realize, like, hey, as cool as Comfey is, it's probably just not Amoonguss. Like, Amoonguss being able to redirect the fighting types, I think is incredibly good right now. Because really, it does feel like the best way through Terapagos is to just break it down with Pokemon like the Urshifus, right? They're both really good. Of course, Mian Xiao's another really good one. Even our good friend Iron Hands, I think, is actually still pretty solid in the current metagame. But yeah, obviously, very, very similar, team to what we saw before. But this time, we do have the Urshi Rapid with Sash paired up with Tornadus, giving you, obviously, the Rain Dance. Now, I don't want to spend all day constantly just going through every single team in this event. But we do see here a very, very cool team around Terapagos. Obviously, it has the Comfey, it has the Iron Hands, it has the Araquanid. A really cool, I guess, like, it looks like a Trick Room mode built around it, but there's actually no Trick Room on the team, which is, like, really, really interesting. But regardless, still cool. Iron Hands and Araquanid are both really interesting mons. Of course, Araquanid having Wide Guard in the current metagame as well is really nice. Ogre Herflame, obviously, still really good. I'm actually shocked that Comfey is opted for Taunt over Trick Room on this team, because this actually looks like a really strong Trick Room team if they went, like, Comfey, Hands, Araquanid, and Terapagos, and then you have, like, a fast mode with, like, Tornadus, Ogre Fire, and Terapagos as well, paired up with, like, any of the other 3. But yeah, that's still really, really interesting. We do see Rayquaza getting 2 top 16s here, which is really nice. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Ray. I actually did cover a team very similar to this in one of our last videos as well. But yeah, just really, really cool. Obviously, Ray plus Power is, like, really strong. Urshi Rapid plus Power is really strong. And the rest of the mons are just generally good support, right? Amoonguss Incin, very, very strong. And of course, Giraffe stopping opposing priority spam. Obviously, super nice, yeah. The other raid team looks to be the exact same. Yeah, I think that's the exact same team, right? Maybe some slight move changes, but regardless, still a really, really solid team of 6 there. Nothing else too crazy, I guess, I want to take a look at here. Obviously, we do see a lot of Callies and a lot of Terapagoses here. We'll quickly pull up the metagame here and just take a look. So Incineroar here, obviously dominating the format with a 51% win rate, or closer to 52, I guess. I will say a very important thing to keep in mind when you look at usage stats like this. Incineroar was on 71% of teams in this event, so having a 52% win rate is actually still quite impressive. Because a lot of the time it's a force 50-50, right? A lot of the time they play against each other, and because of that, they end up 1 wins, 1 loses. Therefore, it's just 50%. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Amoonguss here, obviously a big winner at 54%. That is still very impressive for such a high usage on the Mon. Because again, it's getting a lot of force 50-50s, which means it is winning a lot of the matchups where they're not having to play against other Amoongusses. But Urgy Rapid continuing, man. 56% win rate on the 3rd most picked Mon is kind of wild. Because again, a lot of the time these guys are playing against each other. So when you have such a high win rate like this at the top of the picks, at the top of the play, very, very cool, right? But we actually don't see a Mon with anything higher until we go all the way down to Terapagos, the 2nd most picked restricted legendary at 58% almost. That is absolutely wild. Just showing how good this Mon truly is. Calyrex-Shadow, though, was the most played Pokemon out of all the restricteds. 53% still being very, very solid. Pelipper, surprisingly enough, getting a lot of play in this event as well. Koraidon looking to be... Actually, no, sorry. Calyrex-Ice Rider here, actually, basically as much play as Terapagos, but its win rate actually quite a bit worse, only at 51%. We see Koraidon here, 57%, obviously very, very good. Zacian, only 45%. That's pretty sad. Oh, Lunala sitting at 59 is actually also quite bad as well. Kyogre getting 50% is kind of funny considering, again, it got 2nd place at this event and it went 11-11. Let's have a look. Yeah, sorry, 9-3. So we have 1-9-3, then 1-3, 1-3, 0-1, 0-1. So yeah, Kyogre, while its win rate was 50%, it was definitely carried by an individual player. Zamazenta, that's bad. Feels bad for Will Tank, guys. Not getting some of the best results at this event. Definitely a Pokemon I believe in, though. Groudon going 2-11. Ouch, that hurts for Groudon players, boys. Yeah, Koraidon getting Rise Up, I guess. Archaladon, really good win rate down here at the lower tiers. Rayquaza only got played twice, and it was those 2 teams we looked at, so that's great for Ray. Dawnwings, yeah, you kind of lost. Is there any, like, crazy stuff really I want to look at down here? Lugia going 3-3 is actually kind of nice. But yeah, I guess that's it for this event. Dialga Origin having a bad run. Obviously, it's hard when you're looking at some of these mons, though, right? Obviously, only getting one play or 2 games, or 2 people, sorry, bringing it out of 100. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. We did spend quite a bit of time on that one there, so I kind of want to speed these ones up here. So this tournament here, won by the homie Mario. This was, I believe, a 100-player event. Exactly 100, perfect, love that. Wait, is this the guy who got... Is that the guy who got 2nd in the Wolf event? Yeah, that's actually wild. 2nd here, last place here. Crazy, boys, crazy. Anyway, Mario, he wins the tournament on the back of a Terapagos team. Now, guys, I will say this. Mario's a homie. I've known him for a little while now. You know, we talk all the time. He's also recently started doing YouTube as well. I believe he has actually done like a good 30-minute breakdown on this team. So if you're interested in that, go check him out. He'll do a way better job of breaking it down than I will. Also, I think that he's put the paste on his YouTube as well, and I think he's also put something on his Twitter. So go check him out. He'll do a way better job of breaking this down than I will. But just a really cool take on Terapagos, right? Again, we see that core 3 here of Incineroar and Amoonguss, and then he's got the Urshifu Rapid plus Tornadus to give you that fast mode. But yeah, he does a way better job of breaking it down than me. Go check him out. 2nd place, we see Striker here running a very similar team. As a matter of fact, the only difference here really is the Screamtail over the Tornadus. Screamtail, I think, is really cool on these teams in the end game, right? Especially if you do get it in next to Terapagos. It can be definitely very deadly. But of course, we have the Choice Scarf Rapid Strike here. It's the Amoonguss Insane. We've spoken about this core a lot. I don't want to go too much into it, but the Screamtail was a really cool tech, which I'm personally a huge fan of. I think seeing Screamtail do so well is really cool. But then this team here in 3rd place. Now, this is a Scooteasy team, boys. I have been playing around with Koraidon plus Chi-Yu. I think it's really good. Obviously, we have my core 3 of the Fluttermane, Chi-Yu, and Tornadus. Your boy loves them. What can I say? I love this core. These 3, that's my core. I've literally been running these 3 together since Worlds last year, or before Worlds last year, I should say. So it's awesome to finally see Chi-Yu get to play with a good Sunsetter. But the really interesting one here is the Scale Shot Koraidon. I thought this was awesome. Obviously, you know, we're going for the Terrifier plus Blitz in the Sun. It's great. And again, I've been talking a lot about Flame Charge being really good. But why not just go Loaded Die Scale Shot? Makes you faster. It's also like a base 100 power stab move if you get it going. Pretty damn good. But yeah, really, really cool tech there. Obviously, we see the Sash Flutterman here with 3 attack. I'm a big fan of this set, but I think if you're going to run Sash, personally, I think you just go for something like Stellar Terror. The only reason I would run Terra Fairy in the current metagame is because of Calyrex-Shadow. You want to live the Astral Barrage, but because, again, you know, you focus Sash, you don't need it, you're just going to live anyway. Because of that, I would like to see something like Terra Stellar on this. Tornadoes, perfect set if you ask me. Terra Dark plus the Covered Cloak, of course. The 4 moves you need. AV Raging Bolt right now feels really good. While Koraidon does have a pretty naturally good matchup into things like, of course, the Terapagos, which again is, I think, a big reason why Koraidon's on the rise. You still do need ways to snarl things down. Because of that, AV Bolt plus the Specs Chiyu obviously do an incredible job of that. Not to mention, you just have 3 really powerful Photosynthesis mons. Oh, sorry, 2 Photosynthesis and just one of the best fire types in the game. Paired up with the Koraidon, which is pretty good. And then, of course, Amoonguss is Amoonguss. A fantastic support. But yeah, I really enjoy this team. I think Loaded Dice Koraidon's really good. Not to mention, Koraidon plus Flutter, Chiyu, and Bolt is just also very, very strong, right? We also see here a team in 4th here with the Calyrex-Ice Rider. With some pieces I have personally been talking about. Obviously, I have spoken a bit about the Cornerstone being very, very good with the Giraffe plus Caly-Ice. I think it's incredibly good. Having Sturdy is really, really strong. Of course, too, we do see a Fluttermane plus Chiyu here, you know, just running the old standard, right? Of course, you know, we have the other Choice Spec set here, and of course, we have the boost speed with Icy Wind. Very, very good. But the interesting tech on this team is the Hitmontop with Iron Ball, which is very, very interesting. Obviously, it's a fake out Pokemon, it's a wide guard Pokemon, it's a close combat Pokemon, very similar to Mian Xiao. But with Iron Ball plus coaching, you can get that +1 onto your Ice Rider. Especially too, I think it's really good because this is a mon that is good at leading with Ice Rider. You have the Intimidate to protect it, then you have the Fake Out to enable the Trick Room, and then of course on the next turn, you can just go for things like coaching into Glacial Lance. Now, the reason I personally like this so much is because I was testing one of the Homie Winter Knights teams where he was running Galarian Zapdos with the Iron Ball to click coaching. And the hardest thing for me on that team was getting the Zapdos next to the Caly-Ice. To me, that felt really difficult getting on the right board state where it was next to it. And because of that, it felt like kind of a wasted slot. But having Hitmontop, which is a Pokemon that you can just lead next to Caly-Ice, click the Fake Out, then click the coaching, I do think is very good. Not to mention, just having the Wide Guard support is never a bad thing. Now, are there any other cool teams I want to take a look at here? Another pretty standard team, I would say here, with the Blood Moon plus the Caly-Ice. We see some more Chiyu with Terapagos, which I'm a huge fan of. We actually do see a top 8 Zamazenta. Shout out the homie Will Tank here. You know, having Wide Guard Iron Defense, very, very strong, of course. We do see it on these Ting Lu teams with the Ting Dozo, Pow, Rilla, and Gouging Fire. Very, very similar to some teams we saw in the past as well, where they were running Kimowo plus Ting Lu, which is a very, very strong combo. And of course, Ting Lu plus Dondozo. Just super annoying. Sandtomb plus Yawn into double protect. Oh, we don't even actually have protect on the Ting Lu here. I just realized that. But regardless, it still does the same thing, right? You trap them in, you yawn them, they go to sleep. And of course, having Gouging Fire to howl up your Zamazenta, your Chien Pow, your Rillaboom. Even the Ting Lu and Dondozo, honestly, don't mind the old +1. But yeah, really, really cool team there. Love seeing Zamazenta getting some results. Anything else I want to look at here? Probably not. Nothing too crazy. I guess Zacian Rain is something we've spoken a bit about recently as well that I think is pretty hot right now. Let's take a look at the meta report here. Of course, Incin, #1 usage, seeing it at 49%, obviously, is what it is. Rillaboom at #2 with a 57% win rate just shows you how good this mon actually still is in the format. Obviously, very good into Urshi Rapid, which again seems to be just dominating these events. Same with Amoonguss, right? Like, these 3 mons here, like, Rillaboom is just really good into both Urshi Rapid and Amoonguss. It's a Spore switch in. It has an immunity to Rage Powder. Obviously, you could switch in as well to the Surging Strikes. Fluttermane here, still hovering around that top 5. Definitely not surprised to see that. Calyrex-Shadow having a very bad win rate, though. Still the most used here. Ice Rider having a very average win rate at 50%. But then Terapagos, man, look at this. 68%. Obviously, it helps that first and second place both played Terapagos. But that is still really, really high. My guy Chiyu, surprisingly enough, still slipping in here with that 11 plays. You love to see it at 50%. Koraidon getting some really good results here. Kyogre, relatively average, but getting a bit of play. Groudon sees more play. Still nothing too crazy. King Gambit actually showed up massive at this event. I do think we saw it twice in the top 8. I could be wrong. Miraidon. Dude, this one is actually the most feels bad for the whole of Regulation G, in my opinion. Because coming into this format, everyone was telling me how broken Miraidon was. Like, people were like, oh yeah, it's like the most used mon in doubles, Ubers, blah, blah, blah. Miraidon by itself ain't it. I definitely think this mon come double restricted, it's going to be really good. Don't get me wrong, double restricted Miraidon is going to pop off. But I mean, right now, you look at some of its matchups into the current metagame, right? Calyrex-Shadow just out-offenses it. Calyrex-Ice gets up Trick Room, out-offenses it. Terrapagos gets rid of its terrain. The second it loses the terrain, it loses a lot of its damage. Not to mention, it's a natural Calm Mind Pokemon that wants to pair up with things like Fake Out, right? Koraidon is another mon that, you know, while you could probably argue in a vacuum, Miraidon is a better Pokemon than Koraidon. Koraidon sets the sun. Miraidon sets electric terrain. Sun's just better, yeah. Even like Kyogre, which is funny. Like a lot of people, like me included, I looked at Kyogre coming into this format. I'm like, how's it going to play with Miraidon everywhere? Apparently, Miraidon's just not everywhere. I guess that's the way you beat it. But yeah, that's kind of sad. More Lunala, not getting too many great results. Very interesting. I think this one's really good. I think people just have to figure out the right way to play it, I guess. Walking Wake's in a little bit more played. Nothing too crazy. How about Zacian? We just saw Zacian. Where'd he go? Big Dog. I mean, pretty good results for the Big Dog. Only got brought twice, but they both players seem to do pretty decent with it. Yeah, 6-3, 5-3. Not too bad. But yeah, still a really solid result. So, jumping over to the Himi Tour, we see, yet again, another Terrapagos winning the event. And now, again, I think we've actually covered this exact set of 6 here. Yeah, we have. Really, really good team, obviously. Terrapagos just showing how good this mon is, man. Like, the fact that it beats a Koraidon team in the finals is actually wild to me, because obviously, like, it beats the Sun in the sense that you can Terra Shell out of it. But, like, you're also thinking that, like, Koraidon can just nuke you with, like, Collision Course, and there's not much you can really do about it, which is definitely crazy to me. And not to mention, it's got a lot of pieces around it. Like, you've got the Specs Fluttermane, you've got the Insane Rillaboom, you've got the Hearthflame. Like, there's a really strong team here by Pokeball. Like, this is actually a really fun team. I would say the only thing I'd personally change is, I don't know, probably Instant to Chiyu, but I'm an enthusiast. What can I say? Yeah, really cool teams there. We see Fede Campo here with his Calyrex-Shadow team. I believe this team was actually made public as well. I believe he dropped it on his Twitter. So if you're interested, go check it out there. Very, very strong team. It's got the Nasty Plot plus Draining Kiss with Terra Fairy, which I thought was really interesting. Definitely something I personally looked at early in the format, but I didn't really love Draining Kiss. I think it was kind of underwhelming in my testing. But of course, you see this core of 3 here, Amoonguss, Insane, Rillaboom, boys. This is the best core of the game. Literally slap these 3 with any restricted and you're good to go, man. It's actually nutty. And of course, Urshi Tornadus. It's like, oh, you need a second mode? Rain Dance plus Urshi Rapid, boys. And yeah, you're pretty good there, not gonna lie. We do see a Lunala here in the top 4, really cool. This is actually a really fun set as well. I really enjoy this team personally. You see like Lunala, Ursaluna, P2, and Insane. A very, very strong core. I did cover this core of 4 actually recently in a video as well. It's just really, really good and really consistent at getting up the Trick Room. And I think Lunala plus regular Ursaluna is one of the best Trick Room combos in the game. And of course, you've got the Scarf Urshi Rapid that's like, hey, I'm here to break through anything you need. And Amoonguss is just Amoonguss. Like, Amoonguss P2 and Incineroar in Trick Room is super annoying. You just sit there cycling Regenerator, Fake Outs, you know, P2 just starts bracking up the damage, you spore everything, you slide Pollen Puff to heal up the boys. It's a really annoying core, but yeah, really good. I think one of the better ways to play Lunala right now, clearly. Mikelda Bestie here, we see with another Koraidon team. It's good to see him testing out Koraidon quite a bit, actually. We've got the Koraidon, obviously, with the Chen Pao, very, very good. Raging Bolt and the Fluttermane in Sun is very nice. And of course, AV Entei as well. I actually do really like AV Entei on this team. I'm kind of shocked that he actually wasn't running his Eruption set, because I think he was someone running Eruption in the past. But nonetheless, Entei in Sun obviously is still really good. Entei next to Chiam-Hao is really good. And of course, Inner Focus Terra Normal is still really good. Really fun team there by Mikelda. I love that. We see another... this is like the team we looked at earlier, man. This is my team to play. Life Orb, yuck. Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, Chiyu all the way. But regardless, still a really fun team here. Having obviously Chiyu, Raging Bolt, and Fluttermane in the Sun's very good. And Amoonguss is just Amoonguss. Yeah, we all kind of know what that boy does here. Of course, another Calyrex-Ice team here doing really good. Mammoth VGC getting the Kyurem into the top 8. Now, boys, I'm going to throw this out there. I don't know how many people who, at least at this stage of the video, keep up with the community tab. But I have, over the last week or so, been running a poll, basically, for a team building guide. Your boy's going to be dropping a team building guide early into May. And I wanted to know what restricted everyone wanted me to build around. I don't know how, but Kyurem White won. Yeah, Kyurem White. I'm building a team around Kyurem White, boys. It's going to be my team building guide. I'm going to spend like the next 2 weeks or so building it. So yeah, I guess if you're interested, guys, click the subscribe button, because about 2 weeks from now, maybe a little less, we're going to be dropping a Kyurem White team building guide. And fingers crossed I can get them onto high ladder. The goal is to get us to top 100. And yeah, I guess this is a pretty good starting point. Although this is definitely not the way I personally think I'll be playing Kyurem White. But nonetheless, still very, very good. Obviously, Blizzard, Draco, and Focus Blast. We have the Life Orb here, paired up with the Alolan Ninetales. Terra Ghost is really cool. I like it because obviously it does give you an immunity to those fighting types, which is honestly one of Kyurem's biggest issues right now. Of course, Alolan Ninetales, though, very, very strong. Having Aurora Veil and Blizzard spam of its own, plus Helping Hand, is very solid. Aleki is a really interesting mon, and a mon I actually do expect to see rise up a little bit in usage. Obviously, a pretty solid speed control mon, especially with Sash. You just go Timid Max, and you outspeed a majority of the metagame. Even a lot of the Choice Scarfers, you're going to just completely outspeed them. And Electro Web, obviously, is a very good move. Not to mention a very fast Eerie Impulse into Pokemon like the Calyrex-Shadow as well, which I do think is really important. But then, of course, Instant, Amoonguss, Ogerpon, Wellspring, just an incredibly good defensive backbone. It gives you the Fire, Grass, and Water Core. Just really, really solid. And yeah, again, it's nice to see restricteds like Kyurem White actually getting good results in these events. Because again, like, I think a lot of people just look at this format and they're like, oh, the best Pokemon are Calyrex-Shadow, Calyrex-Ice, Terrapagos. They're going to dominate. You know, maybe a little bit of Koraidon, Kyogre, Zacian here. Like, no, like, everything is actually, I don't want to say everything, but a lot of Pokemon here are really good. Like, we see probably 10 different restricteds in the top 16. Which I do think is incredibly healthy, right? And the further down you go, you start seeing more stuff here. Like, even like Brute Bonnet, man. This is obviously not a restricted, but it's a cool one. Yeah, cool mon there. Anyway, let's take a look at the metagame before moving on to our last tournament. Of course, Incin dominating here. Rilla, you know, Fluttermane also getting really, really good results. Dude, Rillaboom actually might be like low-key the biggest mon of the patch or of the metagame. Tornado's getting really good play here. Who is the most played? Ooh, it looks like Calyrex-Shadow is all the way up here. Wowie. So Calyrex-Shadow, still the most played. Calyrex-Ice, still the second most played. It really feels like these two, along with Terrapagos, are like the main three of the format. Funny enough, though, we actually do see Groudon, Kyogre, and Koraidon all beating Terrapagos in terms of usage here. But Koraidon really being the main winner, with the other two having relatively average win rates. Anything else here? Miraidon, dude, Miraidon 29% win rate with 9 players. Holy shit. This mon is ST Ruglin, boys. Oh my god, that is rough. Lunala, dude, 14-14 considering this had a top 4 placement. It's actually kind of rogue. Damn, feels bad for the Lunala players, boys. Zamazenta, flat 50, you know, you take that, I guess. Anything else crazy here? Probably not. Umbreon, I don't know if this is crazy. This is like not even a hot take, but I will probably be touching on Umbreon in the coming videos. I want to do a video talking about like the winners, like another video, sorry, of like the Pokemon that maybe weren't good last format. That all of a sudden have a niche right now, and Umbreon is one. Umbreon has a really good matchup into Calyrex-Shadow. It's also pretty good into things like Terrapagos as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But yeah, nothing else too crazy here. So I guess it is time to probably, dude, there's a Reshiram here. Dude, Reshiram getting played. Kyurem White, you know, again, good to see it. Dude, a Zacian without its sword as well. That's actually, I'm looking at this guy. What did he have? Zacian, no sword here. Was it no sword? Was it really no sword? Oh, no, it was. It's just, okay, just appeared as the wrong one in there. Okay, that's fine, whatever. We'll go to the Tommy tour here. Tommy had, okay, this was the 100 player one. So that last one was the 140 player one. My bad, boys. But yeah, finally, to round it out here, we have another really cool team. This is a Calyrex-Shadow team paired up with Chi-Yu and Whimsicott. And Iron Bundle. I love this team. Obviously, Iron Bundle is the fastest speed booster one in the game. Choice Specs Chi-Yu pumps out damage, pairs incredibly well with Iron Bundle as well. We have the Cali plus Mienshao, another really good core. We have the Whimsicott with Fake Tears, obviously buffing up Cali and Chi-Yu, which is really good. And of course, Indeedee giving you Psychic Terrain, I think is also very, very solid. Indeedee plus Chi-Yu is like a low-key, another really good combo as well. I think having Redirection plus Terrain, it's just really good with Chi-Yu. I personally absolutely love it. Second place here, another Calyrex-Shadow, not surprised. Groudon getting top 3 here as well. I believe we actually already looked at this exact team before. Obviously, Ogerpon plus Rillaboom, I think, is really good with Groudon. And of course, Raging Bolt plus Fluttermane is also really good with Groudon, right? It gives you some Sun Abusers, it gives you some answers into Kyogre. Just really, really solid. Another Lunala here in the top 4. We see a Kyogre here go 7-0 into a loss in top 8. That feels rough, man. But of course, we see Kyogre here paired up with some of the, you know, the usual suspects. We got Incin, Rilla, Tornadus for speed control, of course, Lando, another Rain Abuser, and Clef is the one that just says, I'm going to keep you alive. Really, really good there. Sableye VGC, the homie here as well. Go check out Ryan if you guys don't follow him already. He has done a video on this team, I believe. Actually, yeah, no, he did do it because he called Iron Jugulus Yveltal at home. Funny enough, I actually think Yveltal, god damn it. I think Iron Jugulus is actually a good Pokemon right now. As you see Ryan here running it with Kyogre, he's got the Hurricane, he's got the Snarl, Rain Dance, Tailwind. He did say himself you could literally just replace this with Tornadus. And look, he's not wrong. But nonetheless, I think Iron Jugulus is really cool. Obviously, it's a speed booster mon that has a good matchup into Calyrex-Shadow and a relatively decent one into Calyrex-Ice. I do like Terra Steel just because of the Calyrex-Ice matchup. You may want to, you know, stick around for an extra turn. But nonetheless, I definitely think this is one that has a niche right now. And just a cool team in general, right? Again, go check out Ryan. He does a proper breakdown on the team. Dude, like, we see Squishy here getting some T-Tar in the top 8 as well. That's cool. Palkia getting knifed by Killua. Killua's been doing really, really good in some of these online events as well. So to see a Palkia, it looks like the Palkia origin form as well, doing so well is really cool. Oh, it's a Trick Room variant. Okay. Trick Room plus Side Spam, Banded. Yeah, this is just a cool team. Really, really interesting team there. Nothing too crazy. A lot of Kyogres here actually in the top 16. Looks like 5 Ogres in the 16, which you do absolutely love to see it. But before we bounce, of course, we'll take a look at the metagame here. Instant, bad win rate. Rillaboom, dude, why is all the top mons really bad win rates? Until Kyogre. Kyogre's actually the first one in this event with a positive win rate. And it is also the most played restricted in this event. That's really interesting. And we see like the double fish. Dude, one day, boys, I'm going to play the double fish. The Ogre plus Chiyu strat. Calyrex-Shadow, 51%. Lander Ethereum actually in this event did really good as well. Urshi, is that Urshi Dark? It's Urshi Dark, right? I'm pretty sure Urshi Dark's that one. But it makes no... Oh, yeah, Urshi Rapid's here. Yeah, of course. Yes, that's Urshi Dark. Really good win rate for Urshi Dark here. Yeah, prayers out for the Gauging Fires, lads. Anything crazy? Terapagos having a really bad win rate in this event. Wow, that's crazy. Really good one for Lunala. It's actually so crazy because Cryogon here, bad result as well. It's so crazy to me that they'll dominate one event and then they'll do really bad in another. But yeah, anyway, guys, I think that's it for the 4 events. Obviously, we spent a lot more time on the this one here, that Wolf one, because again, it was the most recent. And I think a lot changes from day to day in these events. So I think this definitely was the best one to spend the most time on. And of course, it's WolfeyVGC, boys. You know, probably the greatest Pokemon player of all time. So talking about him, I do think it's only right. But yeah, anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Of course, let me know down below what you think of all these tournaments going on. Let me know what you think as well, I guess, of the face cam, boys. I'm going to do my best to bring the face cam back. You know, if you got to the end of the video, tell me what you think of it. I don't know. I'm here. Oh, God, there goes the microphone. You know, the homies have been telling me I got to pull out the face cam. I want to pull it out. So I guess, yeah, let me know if you guys enjoy it. But yeah, also, let me know what you think of the teams down below. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover as well in the coming days, weeks, all that good stuff. But yeah. Catch you guys at the next one. Peace.